Those of you who don't know Jack, you're really going to enjoy what he has to say today. Jack McLinden, SJ, is a native of Lakewood, Ohio, joined today with his father, Andy, and his mom, Maura, and his sister, Colleen. Would love to be here too, I'm sure. He is a graduate of Urban Community School, as well as a member of the Saint Ignatius class of 2010. During Jack's time here at Ignatius, he was a National Merit Semi-Finalist and an active member of the Christian Action Team. Jack also played freshman and JV basketball and was a 4-year member of the varsity baseball team. I was lucky enough to be a teammate of Jack's for 2 years while he was here and while I was here. During Jack's career, he finished with an undefeated record on the varsity baseball team and made 3 trips to the state Final Four. And I know our coach Brad Gaynor we were talking to earlier remembers those trips very fondly. Once Jack graduated from Ignatius, he attended Bucknell University and graduated in 2014 with a degree in religious studies and classics. I played college baseball, and I actually got to play against Jack. I think it was your freshman year. Came down to Richmond, and we got to play the Bison, so it was good to catch up with him on the field. Besides playing baseball, Jack was a student leader of the Catholic Campus Ministry and made service trips to both Uganda and Nicaragua. Jack entered the Society of Jesus in 2014, and after completing his 2-year novitiate, he made his first vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience in August of 2016. He's now a Jesuit Scholastic, studying philosophy at St. University. He was a 1-day trip up here today. This is his Thanksgiving and Christmas combined with his family. Jack enjoys praying in the Jesuit Community Chapel, working out with his Jesuit brothers, and singing in St. Matthew's Parish Gospel Church. Let's put our hands together and welcome Jack McLinden.
Thank you so much. It's such a blessing, such an honor to be with all of you today. And it actually wasn't too long ago that my dad and I were attending the Father-Son Eucharist and breakfast back when I was in Murphy Gym, but a lot of great memories from this event. And what a great opportunity to celebrate this relationship of fathers and sons. I'd like us just to start today, especially the sons out there, to think of all the times that your fathers, your uncles, grandfathers, father figures, whoever is here with you today, came and cheered you on at one of your games or one of your meets, came and clapped for you at the end of one of your performances or your shows or concerts or anything. I think this is a good opportunity for us as sons. Think of all those times, and I think it's time to pay it forward to our dads. So a round of applause for all the dads out there. Thank you so much for all the times you supported us. So I was trying to think about, obviously all of the sons out there, you have so much to say about your dads, how much you admire your dads, whether it's his bravery, it's his example, it's his humor or anything. I'm sure you could go on and on about your dads. I'm sure that dads, you could go on and on about us as well. Your son is talented and so smart and so giving of himself in service and all of that, that you're so proud of us. So even though not right now do this, but later on, go ahead and tell each other how much they really mean to you. So I was trying to kind of think about what is my relationship with my dad and what are those ways that he has really made me who I am today. There are certain things that are pretty obvious, things like we look alike, or we both like to sing, or when we go to a restaurant, we usually order the same thing. So some of those kinds of things, but I think it was striking me as kind of complex. How has my dad made me who I am today, and what has that relationship meant to me? And it's not easy to pinpoint that until I realized that it's actually kind of more simple than I thought. Really what it comes down to that my dad has given to me over the years has been three things. My dad has supported me, my dad has believed in me, and my dad has loved me. And it's a love that Ignatius says, love is shown more in deeds than in words. So my dad has been there for me in all of those ways. And so I want to share some stories with you today, just to kind of exemplify that. And I hope that there's stories that can relate to your own memories or experiences with your dad, or again, whoever else is with you today. And if they don't relate to ones you have already made, I hope they'll relate to stories that you have yet to make and memories that you're yet to make during your time at Ignatius and beyond. So, the first story comes from my freshman year. Of course, my dad was really always there for me in terms of listening to me practice speeches for Mr. Bazzelli, or trying to help me as much as he could with the math homework that Mr. Sable had given me, or helping me to review essays or something I'd written for Mr. Pasco. But one memory in particular really sticks out. And of course, it's from baseball. So I had grown up dreaming of playing baseball at the high school level, playing in college even, maybe even beyond. And so we're coming to tryouts at the beginning of the baseball season in my freshman year. So about February of our freshman year. How many of you guys are freshmen and maybe trying out for baseball out there? Not a ton. How many of you have been to freshman baseball tryouts before? Some. Okay. Well, we'll see if this hits. So, freshman baseball tryouts. A lot of hype. Really excited for that, and a lot is resting on this. I'd been so excited to try out, and so of course the freshmen get the last time slot of the day. We were 7 to 9 p.m. or something, and so I go home after school and have dinner with my family and go off to tryouts. It's the first day of tryouts, and I'm there. The tryout goes pretty well. I got a chance to throw a bullpen. Felt like I was hitting my spots pretty well. Felt like I was throwing pretty hard. After my bullpen, they asked me to run some sprints on the side just to kind of keep the blood flowing. And I'm running the sprints, and of course, it's tryouts. It's the first day of tryouts, so I'm running them so hard and just kind of pushing myself to the max. And I could tell that things weren't quite right. My stomach didn't feel that great, but it's tryouts, so I just kept on running. We get to the end of practice, and we had to do some down and backs as a team, and Coach Gainer's yelling out, okay, down and back, let's go. And so it's tryouts, and I'm trying to just run as fast as I can. But again, I wasn't feeling that great. My stomach was just not there. So tryout is over. We meet in the middle of Sullivan Gym with all the guys that try out for freshman baseball. If it's 60 or 70 or whatever guys, and Coach Gainer's like, great job, good job today at practice, and get ready for tomorrow. And all of a sudden, I couldn't hold it in anymore, and I just threw up right there on the ground. It turns out I had eaten way too close to my practice, and I just threw up right there. So I was freaking out. I mean, this is, I'm so embarrassed, first of all, and I'm sure they weren't easy on me either, but just kind of devastated almost that I had worked my whole life for this freshman baseball tryout, and I blew it. I just threw up on the ground right there. So I think Mr. G helped me clean it up or something, but thank you, Mr. G, I appreciate that. But I was pretty distraught. And so, of course, my dad was waiting for me over in the Wendy's parking lot. Go out there, and he's like, yeah, how was practice? And I was like, Dad, you won't believe it. I threw up at the end of practice in front of everybody, right in Sullivan Gym. And all I remember really is that, A, he didn't laugh at me, so thank you for not doing that. But he wasn't upset at me. He just said, okay, we'll move on. It'll be all right. And so I guess I took his advice as much as I could. But I showed up at school the next day, and Coach Gainer met me in the hallway before my class with Mr. Bazzelli. And I'm like, oh no, what? He's like, Jack, I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh no, what is this going to be about? And so he says, Jack, we'd like you to come try out with varsity today. And I was like, whoa, that's amazing, that's awesome. And so I was so excited to do that. And as Brian mentioned, ended up making the team as a freshman and played varsity baseball all 4 years. So it was my dad's support. I kind of go back to that moment when my dad supported me in a very difficult time, and I'm sure we all have those embarrassing moments or whatever, but the fact that my dad supported me and helped me to kind of turn the corner, and really you never know what could be right around the corner, even in the darkest times. So for all the times that you supported me. Fast forward about a year to my sophomore year, Brian's senior year, and we're playing in the state championship game against that school in Lakewood, that we were playing against in the state championship. And it was a great game. I think the game was tied in about the 6th inning, and one of our best relievers, Mike, who's on the mound, had a number of guys on base, and so they said, Jack, go down to the bullpen, get ready. And I'm down there throwing, I'm like, oh my gosh, state championship, all of these people, it's really, really a crazy atmosphere. And so things are going fine, I'm warming up, and Mike gives up a run, now we've lost the lead. They send down our ace pitcher, Matt, to get ready, and so he and I were both warming up. And then Mike gives up another hit, and now they've scored a few runs. And the call comes down to the bullpen, Jack, you're going in. I was like, me? We have our best pitcher right here. Wouldn't you want him to pitch? And they said, no, well, you've been warming up, you're ready to go. And so I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. And so I come into the game, and it's an incredible environment. Brian was catching the game, and I'm there on the mound and just getting my warm-up pitches in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a huge environment. And what I remember recalling is just the fact that, wow, my coaches really believe in me to put me in this situation. And recalling my dad being in the stands, and my dad was at all of my games, and I knew he believed in me. And even though I don't know how much I believed in myself right then, but to know that his support was there and that he believed in me, I was like, okay, we can do this. So first pitch, wild pitch. The runners advance. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the state championship. But thanks to the leadership of Brian, and thanks to definitely some providence, struck out the next guy. I think it was a 4th or 5th hitter. Next batter, strikeout. Next batter, fly out to left field. So I didn't know I had an Andrew Miller type performance, and a Roberto Perez calling the game kind of thing back there. But just because I knew that my coaches believed in me, I knew my dad believed in me, it helped me to believe in myself. And we got out of the jam. We couldn't muster any runs and didn't end up winning. But that was a really key experience for me, and just something that helped me to realize that, with the support of people in my life and, your fathers and father figures, I can do this. And that helped me so much and propelled me for the rest of my career at Ignatius and on to play baseball in college as well. So for all the times that you believed in me, thank you. And finally, a story about how my dad has loved me. Not too long after that experience, I was a captain of the freshman basketball team, captain of the JV basketball team, had played varsity baseball, for a couple years by then. And I started to realize that my dreams and my desires were kind of changing. I was realizing that to this point, my time at Ignatius has really just been about sports and school. And those are two important pillars of Ignatius, as we know. But I knew that there was something else out there. I knew that I was really neglecting a whole realm of service and all the other activities at Ignatius. So after a lot of soul searching, I realized that I wanted to stop playing basketball, continue playing baseball, but stop playing basketball and start to get involved with the CAT team, Christian Action Team, and all of that. And so my dad really loved me because he supported me and wanted me to do what I really wanted to do, to fulfill my heart's desires. And even though he loved going to basketball games, and even though he wouldn't really be able to come support me at Labra or something like that, but he really wanted me to make that decision and to be true to myself and my desires. And so, thank you for that love and that example that you really wanted me to be myself. And it's something my dad has said throughout the years, is just, we'll support you in whatever you want to do. So that's good. And so my time at Ignatius finished up great. After that, I ended up graduating and was heading off to Bucknell to play baseball and to go to a good school. And so it was that summer before I was headed to college that really an experience happened that changed my life forever. So I was just driving in the car, listening to the radio, 95.5 The Fish, listening to that in the car, and was driving along, and this song came on the radio by Sidewalk Prophets. It's called "You Can Have Me." And so the song paints kind of a picture that I'd like you to have in mind as I sing this. So, if I saw you on the street and you said, "Come and follow me," but I had to give up everything, all I once held dear, and all of my dreams, would I love you enough to let go? Or would my love run dry when you asked for my life? No. It wasn't as good as Mr. Falkowski's kids. You guys were great today. But that image of Christ calling me, just meeting Christ on the mall, or meeting Christ on Lorraine Avenue or outside of my house, and for him to say, "Come and follow me." What would my faith really mean to me? I had done all this service at Ignatius and all of that, but what if Christ really called me to give my life to him? What would be my response? And so that image really struck me, and even though I had never really thought about it before, my first thought was the priesthood. And the priesthood was always something that we definitely need priests, but you don't need me. I am just going to, get married and have a family and all that good stuff, and somebody else can do that. But that image of Jesus calling me, just like he called the first apostles from the seashore, it struck me so much. And so I went home, and this is something that's not typical to guys that are discerning vocation to religious life or the priesthood, but I shared the song with my parents, and I was like, listen to what I heard on the radio, and I'm thinking about being a priest. And I know my dad and my mom were just kind of shocked, but in that moment they supported me and they acknowledged that. So I was heading off to Bucknell, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a brand new experience, all kinds of new friends, playing baseball, all that good stuff. But I ended up in my first college class. It was a class on Gandhi. It was a really awesome class. But my first college writing assignment was, after reading Gandhi's obituary, so just the story of his life and how he died, I was supposed to write my own obituary. It's an awesome assignment. But as I was sitting there, I was kind of like, okay, Mr. Arco and all those English teachers at Ignatius said, you got to write creatively, and you got to write something that people really want to hear. And so I just couldn't bring myself to write about, I got married and had some job and just died. And not that there's anything wrong with any of that, but but I kind of just channeling that creativity. I just kind of dared to dream and dared to write something that was exciting and interesting to me. And so I wrote about becoming a priest and working with the LARCH community in the US, people with developmental disabilities, going abroad to India and working with the sick, teaching at schools in East Africa, and then ending up in Latin America, and of course, being killed as a martyr. But I don't think I shared that essay right away with my parents. But the more I just thought about my life, I realized, why would I do something with my life that I didn't think I was really that motivated, or it wasn't interesting or exciting to me? why wouldn't I let myself dream and think big and all of that with my life's path? And so as I continued on in college, I just realized that maybe those things I was writing about were those deep down desires within me and things that God was really calling me to through the movements of my heart. And so really my discernment in college was very much kind of, where do I see myself? And early on, it was, I could definitely see myself getting married. I mean, that's what everybody does. And I really couldn't see myself becoming a Jesuit. But the more those tides began to change, I realized I couldn't really see myself getting married, but I could really see myself being a Jesuit and beginning to do some of those things that I had dreamed of. So my dad and my mom were both really supportive of me throughout the whole process. They supported me, they believed in me, and they loved me. And their love and all of that just allowed me to really be myself and be true to myself and my desires. And of course, my dad even then said, we'll support you in whatever you want to do. And my mom's refrain was always, seek God's will in your life. And so my parents were so supportive of me. And by the time my senior year rolled around, I decided to apply to the Jesuits and was accepted and entered after graduating. So there's a quote that I just saw recently from Susan Taylor, she's a writer, that kind of sums up, I think, my approach to entering, and I think an ideal approach to dreams. And the quote is, "We don't have an eternity to realize our dreams, only the time that we are here." And with that sentiment, I entered the Jesuits, and there's no time to waste in serving God and giving my life to Him and following that call that I heard in that song. And so even to this day, my dad has continued to support me and be there for me, and my mom as well. So I'm so grateful for that. So sons, follow those deep down desires and passions that you have. Know that God is working in all of that. And know that you will have the opportunity one day to say yes to those desires and to what God is really calling you to. And fathers, support your sons. Believe in your sons. And love your sons. And know that God is working in their lives and through those desires and dreams. And all of us in this room, let us continue to celebrate that relationship of father and son today and always. Thank you. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Yep. Thanks, John.
Thank you very much. Will you and Jack lead us in the alma mater?
Sure.
Everybody stand.
Okay. All right, the two Jacks have been called to lead us in the alma mater, so please stand. Our famed alma mater graces every shrine within our hearts, with her unforgotten faces and the faith that she imparts. Years in passing cannot sever ties of new days from the old. We're Ignatius men forever, as we hail the blue and gold. Thank you. God bless. Thanks, buddy. I had to remember the lyrics. Oh my
Thank you
gosh.
all for coming. It was a great event. We need to see table 33 is the winner with 33 marks. Table 33. Congratulations. Thanks. Have a happy holiday.